All right, so today we are going to talk to Lia Valencia Key. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I really appreciate it. And if you're listening right now, I wish you could just see how bright that Lia is. You have this yellow dress or top and then like a yellow button
Yes.
on, and everything's just
Yes.
so bright and happy. I love it. So
Thank you.
I like to start off the show by asking what your spiritual practice is.
Ooh. Well, so in practice, I'm a prayer. I am, I think in everything I give thanks and I go to prayer. So recently, I've actually been mindful of actually getting down like on the floor and praying and giving thanks and just acknowledging the blessing that I've been receiving and being thankful for what I can give to the world and what the world is giving to me. And it's just been a conscious effort for me to do that consistently because I feel like gratitude is the core of everything, and also acknowledging that the power for me is not in my hands. So I always give all the power over and let that in to guide me.
Oh, I love that. That's so powerful. And before we continue, would you mind giving us a little background on you and what you do and how you serve people?
Oh, yes. So I am Valencia Key Jewelry is the jewelry design company that I have, and I hand sketch jewelry that embodies unlocking your bravery. Valencia means brave, and key means to unlock. So I've created these visual wearable symbols because I know life is interesting, right? My life has been an entire journey. I'm sure we may get into pieces of it. And there are ups and downs, peaks and valleys of life, but there's some power in having these inspiring symbols that keep you motivated and remind you that all things are possible and to choose joy, and that every action that you make is literally a choice. And if one person can do it, so can you. So Valencia Key is this connected wearable symbols that if I can shine bright, you can shine bright. If you can go out and create your podcast and live out your dreams, then so can someone else follow their dreams. And I pray that it's uplifting individuals. And then part of the jewelry proceeds I take and I go and I serve women in homeless shelters. Part of my journey is when I was younger, I grew up in a homeless shelter for a few years. And I knew education was a key that helped guide me through life. And so I go back and I create workshops and give education on how you can guide your life to shine as bright as you possibly choose.
Oh, it's so amazing. It's just so incredible the things that you do and believe in and are involved in. And before we were about to have this conversation, the thing that kept popping up in my mind is I heard you say, get to the light, get to the light. And,
Yeah,
you've mentioned before growing up in darkness and feeling in the dark, and yet you found the light. And
yeah.
I'm looking at you now and you're very bright and you talk about light. So I really, really want to hit home for the person listening that there is light to be found regardless of your circumstance. So when you were homeless, when you were doing other things with your life, how how did you see that light and know that that light existed and then follow it?
Yeah, that's beautiful because sometimes you're in such a place wherever it is that it's you don't even know there's light, or you don't even know that there's a possibility outside of what's around you. And the beauty is my mother unlocked that in me as a young girl in about fifth grade. We were in really challenging times, and she couldn't personally get us out of it, but she knew there was light within inside of me, and she knew that life was a choice. And even though she couldn't navigate through, she stopped me at a moment in my life and saw that I was spiraling into the negative surroundings that we were living in. And she asked me just a question: Leah, do you want to follow or do you want to lead? And I didn't understand, young fifth grader. And so she got a little more deeper and she was like, right now you're following into the negativity, into the darkness. And that only leads to more darkness. But you can lead, and leading means lead your life. Choose your destiny outside of where we are. Dream bigger than where we are. And in that, there's the light. And at such a young age, so light for me is knowledge.
Mm,
Knowledge is so much power. And also light for me is inspiration of others, because even if someone can't do it, if they can speak a word into your life, that's speaking light into your life. And it's up to us to then grab the light
yeah.
and then really explode the light to the possibility that we choose to take it. And so I just love having like my jewelry be that light, as symbols of women just wearing it boldly, saying that all things are possible. And I'm standing here. I don't have to vocally tell you. You'll see it in the symbols, because I always keep my Valencia Key logo in each jewelry piece. And that wasn't for logo's sake. That wasn't to like trademark thing. Of course, that's smart, but it really was for us to see these nonverbal cues and have people look and say, oh my gosh, I know she's inspiring me because she's wearing Valencia Key. I know she's telling me if she can walk as with her head up high, then I know I can. And I just think that's so beautiful, because it was done for me, and it's continuously done for me throughout my life.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So, at that moment when you heard that from your mom and it just kind of like jolted you, you're like, wait a
Yeah.
second. Okay, this is a new way of thinking. What was it like from that point? Was it just like you started reading books, or you went to school, or like you met people, or like was it still a struggle? Like what did that look like in practice? Because I know
Yes.
with these changes it doesn't just happen overnight. So did you
No.
what did you do to get to this bright part of your life?
And so let me disclaimer that every minute of my life I am choosing and working towards finding the light. This is not like, oh, you turn the light on and it stays on. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is like an ever working moment. And that's a beautiful question, because I love the how. Like, yeah, you're telling me, but how? So in my predicament, I was following, meaning like not going to class, not doing my educational things, right? So my grades were going down the tubes, and I was following that path. So when my mother clicked on the light for me, I started to say, oh, let me actually sit in this class and do the work, right? The light's not easy. So I also want people to
Yeah.
know, when you find the light is not, it's probably the path less taken, because you have to work at it every moment. And so I would choose to challenge myself in school. I would choose to stay after class and ask for help, because I wasn't the smartest tool box in the tool shed. I would choose to connect myself with individuals that were joining after school activities, which took us outside of our dark environment. And so every moment was a choice. And when I fail, because I fail probably once at something a day, that's
I
life.
love that.
When I fail, I choose to click the light right back on, because every moment I think if you can put your hands on your chest and you can breathe, you have a choice. And so, do you choose to be in this space that like I know what hurt is, I know what challenges is, I know what darkness looks like. Like, oh, that's real clear to me. But what does light feel like? Like, what is on the other side of that? And so that's inspiring to me to always try to go beyond what I currently know. And so it's an effort, but that's pure joy when you can step outside of your challenges and push towards what you desire. That's peace and joy.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love how you explain that. So, is there anything that's your favorite way or method of getting into that light, whether it's like a book or just a mental process
Yeah.
that you do, or yeah.
Good question. I do a lot of different things. First, it's all mental. Let's start there. Like
Yeah.
the mind, we all know, but we still take it for granted. It is the thing that controls us, right? And we don't really realize that. Like you can do all of these things. Like I would love to say I dance around because I love to dance and move and things like that. But it really starts with me deciding. Like having that thought of failure or having that thought of lazy or having that thought of wanting to carry whatever burden that was weighed on me and then saying, you know what, that's not what I want to be. That's not what I want to feel. That's not how I want to portray myself when I walk in the room. I want to portray myself with a feel of good energy. I want peace around me. I want a smile on my face. And I want to walk in the room and bring the best energy possible. And even though I don't feel like that right now, when I walk and I give myself more moments, like when I walk past that pole, whatever it is, into
Yeah.
that door, I am clicking on what I'm choosing to be, no matter how I feel inside. And the brain is so powerful because when you tell it to do and you mean it, the brain is like, oh, she's serious. Okay, well, let's bring the joy. And then you bring the joy. And the beautiful part is action is so powerful. I love the Nike phrase. I love a lot of slogans in life, but Nike is one of them. I'll probably jot many throughout this thing, but Nike, just do it. So cheesy, but the best thing in the world, because we think about a lot of stuff. Like when we say we talk about it, we think about it in our brain, right? Like that's great, but until you do something, the doing of the thought changes the whole entire atmosphere. And that's where the power is. So when I say I'm going in and bringing joy, that means I put my shoulders back, I put a smile on my face until it hurts. I laugh inside and I think of something joyful. And I think of real peace when I walk in because that's what I want to bring. So it's all about mind and action, bringing them together.
Oh, that's so powerful because it's just you already have the vision of how you want to show up. And so I think
Yes.
that's so important is already knowing how you want to show up and maybe where you want to go in the next few steps and then aligning your action with that. That is insanely powerful. So your mom must be so proud of you.
Oh, I pray she is. My mom is deceased, and I feel as though
Oh.
she is. She passed when I was super young. So, and when I talk this thing about choosing light, it's real because I've had so many tragedies. I've lost my mother. I've lost my
Hmm.
grandmother. I lost my aunt that helped raise me. So all of those things could have turned me into a whole different person, but it's what you choose to be and it's what you choose to carry. Do you choose to carry their joy or do you choose to carry the sorrow? It's your choice. They're both there waiting for you. But which badge of honor do you want to carry? And the badge of honor I want to carry is their legacy of love and their legacy of joy. And that's what I choose every moment. I have these bracelets. Oh my gosh, I haven't launched these yet, but I'm so excited for them because that's my mindset in life. And someone then was like, "Oh God, you gotta make that." My mindset is checking myself every moment through my actions because thought, actions align and create something. And so I'm always checking. People are like, "How are you always so joyful, Leah?" Because I'm thinking like, is what I'm doing giving joy? Where I'm at, am I receiving joy? What I'm doing, is that peaceful? And I'm checking and balancing myself all the time. And if it's not, then I must course correct the action to bring what I feel I want to be rooted in. And I always want to be rooted in joy. I always want to be rooted in peace. And I always want to be rooted in love. Those are the three defining
Mm.
emotions that I want to emit in the world. So I'm checking for that. So I have these bracelets that I've created and it has like joy and a check mark on it, peace and a check mark on it, love and a check mark
Oh.
on it. And so you can look at it because sometimes the world tries you for
Yes, it
negativity,
does. Yes, it
right?
does.
And it deserves not joy. Like the truth is, sometimes the world gives you stuff that you probably shouldn't bring joy unless you're choosing to bring it, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so powerful. I just feel like this energy of spirit as you speak, like just the
Oh,
thought.
thank you.
Yeah, no, seriously, just the way that you process, like you check in with yourself in each moment. And I love teaching about presence and being in the moment, like you said, in intention. And it's like you just gave us like a really tangible way that you are intentional and that you're present and you're still joyful and you're choosing, and it's just beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, another question I had was, I know you didn't start out in jewelry, right?
No.
You have a history, is it hair and makeup or cosmetology? Like you started somewhere in beauty and then moved to jewelry. So what was that
So
path
my
like?
root is jewelry. Yeah.
Okay.
So since I was younger, my mother always used to say, even in our dark places, she would say, "Oh my gosh, Leah, you have this light inside of you that sparkles like shiny earrings." And she would say, "Always wear your earrings because that represents how sparkle you and sparkle inside." So I've always had this affinity that my jewelry represented my sparkle and it represented this light inside of me. So from little, I would sketch jewelry. I'm a self proclaimed artist. So I would
Great.
sketch jewelry, and that was my passion. Creativity was always my joy. And I went to, I had my master's in education. I've tried a whole bunch of things in life. And so I always inspire people that don't let society define what life should look like. Like a lot of people tell you, you pick a career, you get a field, and you go for it, and you stick in it for the long haul, and then you manifest whatever. And if that's not your journey, it's not your journey. Mine wasn't. I went to college for business, and then I got out and got my master's in education, and I taught algebra. And then my
Wow.
true joy, I went to high school for performing arts, for theater and dance, and that's where I did hair and makeup, and I loved it so much. And that was my true joy, along with like sketching and drawing. But I never thought that there was a career financially in it, because if no one knows, as I said, I came from really impoverished environment. So I was always thinking, well, I got to do something that I can live off. I never want to be homeless again. I never want to be hungry again. Like, so I was doing these actions out of what I thought was going to get me to not go back to where I came from. But what I realized was you have to choose yourself. Like,
Wow.
you've got to listen inside of you and find out what is the most inspiring way that you feel alive. It doesn't have to be joy and happy all the time because life is challenging. But where do you feel alive? And wherever that is, there's a career to follow. Like there's finances to follow if you so choose to go hard after it. And so I decided to follow where I felt alive, and I followed into creativity. And after my master's degree, I was like, I love education and I love teaching, but I'm not feeling alive. So I went back to cosmetology school and got my cosmetology instructor's license and learned hair and makeup. And then I went into that industry because I felt alive. I was creating on human beings, and I could create and make people feel their best them so that they can walk out to the world and choose this joy that I live my life model by. And from that, it was giving me joy. And it's just this give and take of energy that is such a blessing. And I got to be under some awesome, awesome business mentors as I was styling, doing hair and makeup, who are the love of my lives now. And
Oh,
I just saw that you can do it. Like you can start your business. And so it reverted me back to all these sketches that I had never stopped sketching. I had never stopped sketching jewelry, but it was a hobby to me. And when I saw my mentors living out their dreams and going for it and giving something to the world in a big way, when you can create something and give some life to the world is just the most challenging thing, but it's also the most magnificent thing to give and receive this energy from others. So I just jumped and decided to bring my now sketches since young kid baby to life.
Wow. You are so brave, because I feel like so many people come to the good space and the number one thing they ask is, what is my purpose? How do I know what
Yeah,
path to take or what to do? And the fact that you were brave enough to just go with it and to choose yourself
yeah,
over any doubts or fears or scarcity, like that
exactly.
is really, really powerful. And I hope that people listening can see that you can do it and you can choose yourself and you can
Mhm.
go after your passion. It's just very exciting to hear that. So, I mean, you must have been nervous, right? Having,
What? Scared. So another model that I do is bring fear with you. Everything I've done in life, I've been petrified. I don't even know how it's possible. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I know inside it is life there for me. I know inside it is joy there for me. The desire is so burning that it doesn't leave me, and the fear is just as big as the desire. And it's like, what do you allow fear to suffocate your flame of passion and desire and living, or do you allow to say, fear, I respect you, because that's humbling, because I know that I'm not bigger than anything, but you've got to come along with me. Like, we can't stay in this real awkward place. I'm
yeah.
going to that destination, and I'm just going to pull you along, and I'm going to keep moving. And so it's literally, I am walking with my knees shaking towards my dream. I am walking with tears in my eyes, butterflies in my stomach towards my dream. I am praying. When I started everything that I jumped into, I pray into it. And so wherever you are in your journey of life and faith, you are not the end all be all of everything. And so give it over to your bigger power and ask for guidance, and ask that that hand is steady when you decide to do what you're going to do. Ask that doors open as you really put your parachute on and decide to jump out the window, and ask that there's a cushion underneath the plane when you jump. And so when you ask for these things, I promise you, you will fall. Some of it's gonna
Hmm.
hurt, but then you get lifted up, and then you look around and you're like, "Oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Okay, I can go again." So please bring fear with you in everything you do.
Oh, love that. So, what would you say is probably the best piece of advice that your mentors gave you at that moment when you're like, I can do this too? Was there anything that someone said that just like stuck with you ever since? Or,
Well, so what I love about my mentors and many beautiful people in my life, actions are so powerful to me. Like, people can tell you a lot of things, and I think words are seeds, right? So
hmm.
words get into your spirit and they plant in, but they may not resonate so big at the moment. What was power for me is they showed me, like, they allowed me to get under their wing, and it wasn't this verbal conversation. It was just, I love everything about you, come along with me. And they just showed me the world, literally, and they showed me the dream, and they showed me how to be detailed about everything you believe in, and they showed me the power of gi- giving more than you want to receive. And they showed me, when you believe in catering and creating something so special and so detailed and so much of love, then it has to come and it has to manifest. And I'm so grateful for them.
That's so neat. So, what are you most proud of accomplishing or amazed that you've accomplished so far?
Everything in my life.
Yes, I want to talk about QVC because I know that's like a huge thing. So, tell me about it.
Oh, QVC. So I'm most proud of being able to sit here and tell you everything that I'm telling you right now, because
Yes.
it's like magical. I come from a place where either I should be dead, um, 20 babies, no education, and no possibility. That's what the stamp would say for me if you
Mm.
were to read my scroll from where I was born into. And so for me to sit here today and say, QVC said yes to bringing my jewelry brand to millions of homes when I was homeless, that is so powerful. I loved one of my mentors. She would say, she's like, Leah, you came from being homeless to being in millions of homes. Like,
Wow.
how powerful is that? And that's the power of faith. That's the power of believing. That's the power of choosing. That's the power of love. That's the power of joy, and that's the power of shining and really changing your atmosphere to a real powerful place. And I'm just so grateful for QVC. Like, I can't even fathom it.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's incredible. So what are you excited about now? Like, what do you see for your future? What are you focusing on?
Ooh, okay. So I dream big all the time. Um, my prayer is that QVC continues to allow me to be one of their featured jewelry brands, and I get to continue to come into hundreds of millions at home and share my love and joy through my jewelry. I also dream, one of my dreams of giving, and I don't know how long, many years this is going to take, but that my brand gets to a level that I can support. I created a nonprofit called Key to Light. And so from my jewelry, I invest into the nonprofit so I can do those educational workshops for homeless shelters. But my big dream is to create a school. So I don't know how long that's going to take, but we'll put it out in the atmosphere because I believe in speaking it. And when you speak it, it happens. I want to create a school because the trade changed my life. Like, getting a cosmetology license changed my life. That skill, no one can take that away from you. It's a power unseen. Like, everyone's always going to need a haircut, even when the times change the way they have, right? It still has to revert back to people who are going to need these skills. So I want to open a trade school for people in impoverished environments, so I can bless them with a skill so that they can always fuel their life financially and change their life environment. And I pray that I go global as a jewelry brand. That's where I want to be.
Yes, I love it. And I'm sending energy your way for that as
Thank
well.
you.
Sending love. And actually, I meant to ask you this earlier, but I just got so excited about other things we are talking about. But I know that the logo, if you can explain it better for me, but it's like a 4-point
Yes.
star, or like the symbolism in your jewelry.
Yes.
Can you explain more about what it looks like and why it's that way?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for asking. Because that was such, like, I would not go any further until that piece was birthed, because it's bigger than jewelry for me. It's a feeling, right? And so I knew my logo had to represent the emotion that I want you to feel. And I'll take you all the way back when I was first knowing that I was going to jump into really creating the jewelry. I knew I needed the logo, and I knew I couldn't find it in my current environment. So it was a Wednesday. I was in one of my mentors' offices, and I was like, I want to travel somewhere and be inspired. And she was like, go. And so I didn't have anything booked on my calendar. And that was a Wednesday. I booked a ticket in her office that Wednesday. And I got on a plane the next day, Thursday, and I flew to Egypt. So I
Wow.
booked separate tickets. I booked the ticket from New York to Egypt, Egypt to Morocco, From Morocco, I took a ferry to Spain, came back to Morocco and back here. And I say all that to say, on that journey, it was a magical journey because when I landed in Egypt, one of these guides took me around to all these temples and all these really beautiful, holy places. And I knew I was there to create a logo. And I would see all these lights and all these stars. And so I was like, oh my, I prayed that when I leave this journey, that I am sketching my logo and that it has life in it. And so I'm seeing these lights. And then I get to Morocco and I walk into this little store and it has keys from floor to ceiling, brass, old, like antique keys. Now, my last name is Key, but I didn't want to use that just for the sake of nothingness, right? It
Yeah,
has to have
of
purpose,
course.
right?
Yeah.
And so I knew Valencia meant brave, and I knew Key meant to unlock, but I was still molding that message. And so I asked the owner, like, why is your store filled with keys? And he was like, the key to him represents the key to unlocking light in
Wow.
your life.
Wow.
What? Are you kidding me? Like, I was literally like, I know he probably thought I was a little crazy because I was mouth dropped open for minutes. And he was like, you don't know? And so I was taken aback. And that moment I knew, because remember, so it's all coming back. My mother said I had so much light in me, right? Which is why I would sketch all of these jewelries. She told me to choose my life, right? And so light was what I gave to the world. And then I'm standing in Morocco and this man is saying that for him, he has keys because it reminds him to unlock the light in your life. And I was like, amazing. So
That's
on the
amazing.
flight back, I'm literally sketching my logo. And so I took the V from Valencia Key that represents bravery, and I created into the 4-point star because remember, throughout all of my journey, I was seeing these stars and these lights. And I put the key to unlocking your light of your life in the center. So when you wear Valencia Key, you are literally choosing to unlock light in every part of your life as you walk in. And you're unlocking joy, you're unlocking perseverance, you're unlocking bravery, you're unlocking all of these things that generally we limit or we shy away from,
Mm.
but that actually gives us abundance in life.
Wow. That chills. I just had chills that whole time. And I love that you mentioned that a lot of times we limit these things in us and we always need that reminder and we always need that connection to remember, hey, we shouldn't limit any of those. And I really love that. And you can just feel it in everything you do, that you truly live it, that you truly believe it, and that you're putting good into the world. And so it's really truly an honor to have connected with you. And before we sign off, is there, out of everything we talked about, or even if we didn't talk about it, what is the one thing you hope someone listening will walk away knowing or
Oh,
learning or doing?
yes. Well, what I pray is that you hear my very unique voice and you are inspired to listen to you and to hear what you need and follow that. Whatever you need in this world, whether it's love, choose love and don't settle for something that's not of love, not giving love, not receiving love. Is it joy? Choose joy, actually finding. And joy is an interesting thing because it's not happiness, right? Happiness is fleeting. Happiness, you can be happy 1 minute, you can be sad the next. Joy is a core, rock solid emotion that you live within no matter what's going on around you. And so, how do you do that? Well, you decide to find it in every moment of your life. When there's negative, what did you learn from it? If you learn something from it, that's the positive, that's your joy. Take that nugget and let it grow within inside of you? Is it perseverance? Maybe someone is in a moment of something and it's hard and they feel like giving up. I'm asking you, I'm a living witness. Perseverance is the key to all things accomplished. And you will get knocked down millions of times, but when you get back up, maybe it's at 1,001 time, that's the victory that you'll receive. So I pray that I'm inspiration, that you just keep choosing and you choose yourself every moment. And when you choose yourself, that's not selfishness. When you choose yourself, you get to fill yourself up so fully that you can abundantly give out to others in a really full and replenished way.
Oh, love it. I love it so much. Thank you for sharing that. So where can we find you online? Tell us where we can get your jewelry, where we can find you on social or wherever.
Yes. Okay. You can find Valencia Key Jewelry. It's on QVC first. There, I have a selection on QVC.com, and you can just type in Valencia, like the orange, Valencia Key jewelry. Or you can go to www.valenciakey.com. That's just my website, my name. And on Instagram, Valencia Key Design. Follow that. We can put really cool, inspiring lifestyle, just refreshing, uplifting visuals. So even if you're not, just check out the Instagram so you can be refreshed throughout your day and be inspired. And then if you want to follow me and my interesting life, I have my own personal Instagram, Lia, Lia Valencia Key, and you'll get to see me in my most selfie self.
Yes.
Doing whatever videos. Thank
Oh,
you.